Från en lagstiftning som påverkar våra skogar så går vi nu vidare till en rörelse som vill förändra själva systemet bakom byggandet, och det är House Europe. Det är en ideell organisation som driver på ett värdeskifte i byggsektorn, både socialt, ekologiskt och ekonomiskt. Och nätverket samlar idag över 200 medlemmar i våra 27 EU-länder. Och det är både arkitekturkontor, men det är också kulturinstitutioner till universitet och branschorganisationer som deltar och är engagerade i det här. Och nu så ska vi få en uppdatering om det här initiativet och uppropet i Sverige. Varmt välkommen Henrik Almquist. Du är arkitekt, du driver Agency for Adaptive Architecture och du är också adjunkt på LTH och är väldigt engagerad i den här frågan.
Ja, tack så mycket.
Varsågod.
Tack. I prepared in English, so I will switch to English, and this is the control. Yes. So since more than a year we are working on the Policy Lab and Campaign House Europe. But the need for change in how we work with the existing environment is much older, as we have heard today, and the following the path of many before. So we're organized in all countries around Europe as a citizen initiative, and the goal is to push the debate to alter the law in Europe and to push the law to European Parliament. So today I will present House Europe, but I will also talk about local events in Sweden and how we're advocating for law change. But let's start with a small snippet of a movie.
This is the story of House Europe, a European citizens' initiative with a clear goal to make the renovation of existing buildings faster, cheaper, and easier, and stop their demolition and reconstruction. It began, as so many stories do, with an old building that should have been demolished and thrown away to make room for a new one. Yet, existing buildings hold so much within: stories, spaces rich with life and energy from the past. Potentials for tomorrow, all of it available today, at the prices of yesterday. But despite these potentials, and all arguments, no one cared. Neither the owners, nor the banks, nor the politicians. Because the loss of homes, the loss of energy, and the loss of history hold no price in our current system. At that moment...
And we continue there. The goal is very simple. The future in our profession as architects lies in renovation, adaptation, reuse, maintenance. The list can go on. I think many of us here today are already pushing our practices in this direction. But how do we make this happen when the building and planning sector is so slow to change and it's filled with complexity and contradictions from different interests and actors? But the arguments are there. By not working with the existing environment, there are so many levels of culture, social and ecological values that go to waste. I often think how Jane Jacobs already in the 70s stated, cities need old buildings so badly. Gearing an economy for repair and maintenance will also shift jobs, company operations, possibly create more work, filled with more meaning and intellectual production, as we leave an extractive logic of materials and labor to a circular and human-centered. And this is only the good news. The bad news is that the building sector is the biggest CO2 emitter in the world, and in Europe, the biggest building sector is the biggest producer of waste. It's evident that we must change our processes and methods to how we build and plan our cities. Let's jump to a real situation in Trelleborg. As part of our master's study at LTH at Lund University, Act of Altering, we found ourselves in the middle of evolving events. Trelleborg's old courthouse and municipality building is empty since a couple of years, and different administrations came to different conclusions, following their logic of well-executed work. Following both from the inside and of the discussion as well as being outsiders, we observed the lack of uniting force where the existing building was seen for all its value, both long-term and short-term. And from this process, there is one term, voice of an economic expert from the municipality that echoes with me. If you can't find a use for it, the existing building, within the municipality, if you can't rent it out, if you can't sell it, then we have to think about demolition. So economy is very important, but economy is also a social science, strongly guided by ideology and framed by our current visions, models and assumptions. If we agree on the urgency to take care of the resources and values we already have, then the process of building tabula rasa is entirely different than working with the existing environment. And how do we integrate these complex layers into our processes? In our current model, it is clear that value is not the same as price, and that also there are many hidden costs, hidden social, cultural, and ecological costs that are not included into these models. So this comes down to regulations or laws, the framework in which the city is developing, in which private and public companies operate. In a mix of push and pull of regulations and incentives through a European citizens initiative, we want to propose 3 main points of how this could be done. As an incentive, the VAT could be reduced on sustainable renovation work and reused materials. It's something quite close to the ROT subsidy that we have in Sweden, though it has to be formulated very differently so that we're sure that it also has an ecological gain. In maintaining or developing existing building, the assessment and understanding is often focusing on problems and risks. What is often not shown is evaluate potential assessment tools that don't manage to show the richness inherited within a building. And thirdly, there is a great paradox when calculating the ecological cost of a building project today. The grey energy stored, the resources make no impact on the numbers. For tools like LCA, it can be more environmental friendly to remove and add something new than to take care of what we already have. That's a model that has to change. So to get these legal proposals all the way to the European Parliament, we are working to get 1 million signatures. And that's where we need you, because at the moment we're at 42,000 till the end of February 2026. I had to speed up. Yes, okay. So how do we work on this? We hosted seminars, we've been invited to speak, we've been writing in the press, we talked and listened. We were to Almedalen this summer and we got a lot of positive response. Yes. And here in Sweden, the work is organized through ACAN, which also brings us to Malmö, here in Rosengård. And as part of Malmö in the making, we made the online demolition map, rivningskartan.se, to take the step into the public space as an exhibition. With no official statistic, no numbers to create a bigger picture of the problem, the map is filling the gap in collecting stories and buildings being lost. Short clip. And across Europe, as Angelica said, we have a lot of official partners, both in companies and institutions. And I see that this is also a way to make the architect relevant in the building sector to work with existing. Because I often hear complaints or discussion on the role of the architect. If we want it to change, if we want to have a seat around the table, then we have to take it ourselves, shouldering the responsibility we want to have, and advocating and seeing the value in the existing environment, that this is an architect's expertise growing in demand. So to finish, sign House Europe, go onto the website, spread it in your network, and to stay updated, there is a newsletter, and contact us if you want to know more. I also want to give a heads up, there's a lot of things going to happen in Stockholm in the week 42 at KTH, Arktes and Konstakademin. And here in Lund on the 18th of October, there will be a screening of the movie. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes. Stort tack Henrik. Jättefint att få se och följa det här initiativet och också allting hur det sprids både på nationell, regional och europeisk nivå. Nu så är det jättebra om den här får ligga kvar så ni kan gå in och skriva på. Och sen så du är kvar här Henrik om man har fler frågor och om House Europe.
Absolut.
Och Och innan nästa programpunkt har vi en kort paus. Gå ner på gården, där finns det kaffe och fika och sol. Och så ses vi här igen om en dryg kvart.